Hey, what's going on? I am not at home. I am in my friend's apartment here in Pittsburgh, and felt like doing another kind of impromptu review of TV show. This time that I watched and just finished, and no one is here in the apartment. Why am I in Pittsburgh? Because I haven't been here in 3, 4 years since I left my old college. But that's neither here nor there. I'm here to talk about Dear White People, season 3, the third one on Netflix. It just randomly sprouted up while I was scrolling. I got up here, I'm like, Dear White People season 3! Because I love this show. And it's always had a lot of controversy ever since the movie. Then people forgot, then it got picked up for a show, and people were like, this is racist! I'm like, you haven't seen the movie! Because it tackles that! And you know, I like the movie. I believe that the characters get a lot more fleshed out in the TV show than they do the movie. The movie like brings up a lot of things and expects you to be like time to have a deep conversation about it because shit gets weird. But season 3, there's gonna have spoilers and whatnot. I'm gonna read the rest of my laptop because I have a horrid memory, but I like just finished it like 15 minutes ago and read an article by Justin Simeon. So overall, my thoughts about it, I really like this season. I think I like it more than 2. Where 2 ends and where 3 ends means that I need a 4th season because this takes place during their junior year, naturally. So, you know, 3rd year, 3rd season. So, you know, fourth season will be senior year. That I don't know if that's going to be the last season. I don't know what they're going to do. But I am hoping it gets picked up for the 4th season. But where season 2 ends is a big mystery. And when it starts in season 3, it doesn't go where you expect it to go. So where it starts and where it ends are very different places, but the things it tackles, I believe, are still very interesting. But the way it handles it is very different than past seasons. So in terms of storytelling and in terms of character development, they pull back from the very singular method that they were using in the past. So it's like, this is the character we're focusing on now, and this character, and then this character. Like everyone gets its own episode, but it's a lot more group dynamic oriented, so it flows a lot more naturally, I want to say. And it's not like it was stilted in the past, but it like allows you to get greater, like a wider lens of the cast. And it's a great cast. It's a beautiful cast. Oh my God. Everyone in this show is so beautiful, so attractive. And just the stuff they explore this season, you've got Me Too, you've got engaging in like sexual performativity, in regards to like your sexuality. You've got hero worship, as just all these different concepts and conversations that just a lot of people my age and maybe younger and maybe older are having, like just a lot of college students right now. Just a lot of the varying discourse, but I really enjoyed this season. So like if you've been watching the show, I feel like you will enjoy this season. But getting into spoilers. Hey, okay, so episode 5. Well, let's see if I can pull up the episode guide list here with no summaries. So I'm trying to like remember what everything was about. But now we've got damn it, what is his name? Not Troy. Reggie. Reggie and Joelle are a couple now, and Joelle has taken over the Dear White People radio show. But as a result, like during the season, their relationship gets a little weird because Reggie starts like meeting up and going through his kind of light depression and just like low motivation until he runs into Professor Brown, who I have to remember who he's played by because he has like the fucking coolest name ever. Blair Underwood. Yeah, so Blair Underwood comes in as Professor Brown this season, who's like a former comp sci professor, and he's like launching this app and everything, and Reggie's like, oh my God, I love you, and he starts like working with him and under him and testing like the beta for the app, and the app seems to be really helping him. Honestly, this is an app I kind of want in the real world. It's called Best Mode. It's just like helping you live your best life, and I'm like, yes, God, yes, as someone that works in mental health, self-care is so important, especially for college students. Jesus Christ, please maintain self-positivity if you're like in college and then in life. Like I'm on vacation right now for a couple days, and it's weird. It's unsettling that I don't have really too many responsibilities. I'm about to go to town, but like that's a sign that something is wrong. that you can't, like, having free time and downtime to yourself makes you nervous. That's unhealthy. But like at the end of season 2, going into this, we had the introduction of the Order, and you think that's going to be a whole mystery this season. Not really. That's honestly one of the like weaker aspects, is that like the Order is addressed, but it's not like the big overarching theme of the season. There's a lot of things going on this season. The Order isn't as much of a focus as you would think it was at the end of season 2, which kind of works to the show's betterment, especially with the way they focus the narrative a lot more on like the group dynamic and the way that everyone interacts with one another. So you have like Joelle and Reggie, and then Reggie and Professor Brown, and you have like Sam and her boyfriend, and then you have the narrator, aka Edward Ruskin, coming in. There's a lot of meta jokes in here too about like Netflix and whatnot, but you have the narrator like coming in, Dr. Ruskin's his introduction. He comes in every time they like mention the Order, and it's not a huge overarching part of the narrative. Primarily, the narrative is just people kind of finding where they fit. There's a lot that goes into this. So like Sam's arc in the story is she's working on her junior thesis and trying to create a documentary, but she does not know where to do and what to do it with. So she's shooting all this great footage, but she has no concept for a documentary. And so now you have this character. What is his name? Because it was very much Tyler Perry, but not Tyler Perry, and kind of the exploration. And after reading an interview with Justin Simeon, I believe that's how you say his name. I hope that's how you say his name. It is how you say his name, Justin Simeon. Or Simon, I keep saying that wrong. Sorry, Justin. But you're exploring kind of the way that a lot of people view Tyler Perry. It's like, oh, he's making these blaxploitation coon-esque flicks, which is kind of how I feel about Tyler Perry. I think the Boondocks got that the best, but just like Tyler Perry-esque filmmaker is like coming to her school, and like she can't stand him. She's like, I think what he's making is degrading, it's disrespectful, it's setting back the Black community, and she looks up to her own hero, who comes in. God, I wish I was good at names. I'm horrible with names. It's the young actress from Orange is the New Black, who was also in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and everyone's gonna roast me because I can't remember her name. But that's who the mentor to Sam is. And then she meets her, and she's like, I'd love for you to take me in your wing as a mentee. And she shows her the footage. She's like, yeah, I can see that you're imitating me. That's great. It's nice to have a fan. And just kind of shuts her down. It's just kind of like, oh, don't ever meet your heroes, because that's sad. And that's also a similar arc that Reggie goes to, but has a very, very different outcome to it. So Professor Brown, introduction, very charming, very handsome, really suave, cool dude, who's a comp sci professor, which awesome. Good for them. He's, helping Reggie finally like unlock his potential and living his best life, but at the sacrifice of Reggie's relationship with Joelle. And Joelle's like trying to maintain it, but she ends up taking on all this responsibility at like the Black Caucus and then at Dear White People, and trying to make sure that she's asking the questions that like people want to know, and like trying to carry on the legacy that Sam kind of left when she left Dear White People. And so I think they have really interesting arc, because Joelle's just like really trying to find, like, look, I just want my life to be, I want to be, respected. I want to be treated with respect, but I also want to be like competent. I want to like live my life. Sam, I'm so happy with Sam's arc this season, because she pissed me off the second season, but finally, like around the end of that season and into this season, she gained a lot more self-awareness, which is what I think a lot of people kind of lack. And they really bring in those types of people that you meet in college. Like, I'm saying this as someone who's a liberal feminist, some of them are liberal feminists, that really kind of have this chip on the shoulder of always seeing the world as a problem. And it's like, there are problems in the world, but that cannot always be what you are. And Sam's like finally taking a step back and just relaxing a bit and being like, I'm in college. I am here to get a degree. Let me focus on, like, let me mix my passions, instead of like, I have this rage in me and all these emotions. How do I channel that into art? Like, how do I focus that into a theme for an artistic piece? You have that for Sam. You have everything going on with Joelle. You got everything going on with Reggie. Troy, and Pastiche and that hot ass mess and Abigail, who could have been here for the past 3 seasons. I completely missed her. Man, I believe Abigail is an introduction this season or not. I could be wrong. But Troy's working at Pastiche and then realizes that the white man's not on his side. Shock and gasp at the predominantly white institution. So Troy's trying to figure out, it's like, okay, where do I fit into this world? Like, you know, I've already done all the wild shit that I've done. So let me figure out, it's like, okay, what do I need to do to like to get to the people and tell the nuanced humor and tell the stories that I want to tell and create for everybody. So he ends up like losing his job at Prestige, but ends up trying to make his own magazine, and that's kind of his arc, is like figuring out, it's like, okay, how do I like achieve the goal that I want to achieve? Cool. Then Lionel has this whole arc with like sexual exploration of his identity as a black gay man, and it's not that he hasn't accepted it. He has accepted it at this point. We're 3 seasons deep. He's cool with it now. Hangs out with his fellow queers on campus, like the rest of the LGBT community, and starts making friends. And it's so nice to have him like having friends and like coming into his own and acknowledging, like, again, gaining some more self-awareness, acknowledging who he is. Like, I'm a quiet, shy, nerdy guy, and you know, like the hypersexual aspects of this culture may not necessarily be me. That doesn't mean I don't have like a heightened sense of sexuality, but I want more intimate relationships. Like that's what my preference is. Like, you know, I'll go out, I'll try to party, I'll have fun, I'll drink and do that. It's like, but you know, there's some aspects of the culture that may not be for me, and that's okay. I can have friends there, and I can still be myself and go on. And then the complications of having this relationship with somebody that's HIV positive, and there's all these little things that are touched on, and it's like making you think, and then it hits about. And then you have the complicated relationships, because they're introducing a lot of more of the side characters. Like you have Muffy, who was Coco's white friend who appeared in the past, and she gets a little bit more development, and she actually ends up being an apex to part of the plot line near the back half of the season. You also have Kelsey, who is one of Coco's friends. She's the prissy one, the one with the dog that they're still trying to find the dog. She's never getting that dog back. Sorry, the dog's not coming back. See that dog in like the first episode, never gonna see that dog again. But Kelsey, and then her blooming relationship with Brooke, I believe her name, and they're just so adorable and so beautiful. And Brooke is still sassy and headstrong as ever, trying to get the next story. But again, Brooke and Kelsey, you know, they're setting it up, and it's like, oh, okay, well, they won't they? Are they going to do this thing with this relationship? And then they do, and then it kind of peters out. It takes a very different look at lesbian relationships that I don't think I've seen in most mainstream media. One of the issues that you kind of run in with telling stories about women loving women, especially that you have like two like black women that and two black women, one who's queer, one who is like a staunch lesbian, and exploring how that relationship works, and just and then you get to them actually not having a successful relationship, and that happens, and that they have to, for themselves as individuals, like as characters, as people do, deal with that and deal with the ramifications of that. And Kelsey is more, you know, her actress is so beautiful and so quirky, and it's so nice, and she's so nice and warm. But she also is more, she's a little bit like Lionel. She wants to like take it slow, and you know, she enjoys that level of intimacy. And Brooke is all about, you know, she's, you know, comfortable with her sexuality. She's like, cool, yeah, you know, I like your vibe, I'm attracted to you, let's, you know, get together and see what happens. And Kelsey's feeling a lot more than Brooke is, and Brooke has to settle with the fact that she needs to learn to be honest, but also take into account other people's feelings and other people's emotions. When she like engages, and you know, the way that she greets people and interacts with people, that's something that she has to be conscious of. But I love the fact that it's not like they have plenty of sex scenes in it, and some of them are like a little longer than others. But that one was really not really harped upon, which is surprising, and I don't know if that's for better or for worse. Because I feel like depending on who the cinematographer and director were and the writer, that could be really sexual in a bad way, or it could be earnest and intimate in a good way. But they kind of just breezed past it, so I'm like, maybe that could have been handled a little better. But I like the actual sequence, but their storylines were good. episode 5, that was the one that actually made me a little teary-eyed. It's Family Day, so Sam is still kind of going through the motions. They don't touch on her too much, but going through the motion of grieving for her father. But you meet Coco's mother, who is very, very different from how Coco presents. And this episode really, really, really made me think so much about just identity and code switching and performativity within the Black community. Because oh my God, her mother is Jesus. It's the young Black woman from Drake and Josh, and I'm forgetting her name, and I just remembered it, and she's such a hilarious actress. It's the woman from Community. It's the Black woman from Community is playing her mother, and I love it. And so there's a part where Coco and her mother are out with Muffy and her mother having brunch. And, Coco's mom is very authentic to herself as just a proud, loud, out there Black woman from Chicago that, uses like cheap flights, cheap tricks, different ways to get money. She's living life to the fullest, the way she's like maximizing opportunities to do that. Let me see. Yep, still going. Just making sure. She like maximizes opportunities, but she doesn't navigate white spaces particularly well the same way that Coco does. And Coco is very, very, very particular about the way that she carries herself, the way that she dresses, the way that she performs. She's gotten so far away from that image of the Black girl from Southside Chicago, like the overweight Black girl, because as a dark-skinned Black woman at a predominantly white institution, yeah, shit's gonna be really tough for you. And thinking about the way that she interacts with white people and just these button heads, and you can see, and it was just, watching it was throwing it into so much of a state of distress, because I saw so vehemently just how badly I want Black people to be able to be authentic to who they are, be they loud, be they flamboyant, be they boisterous, but also at the same time taking into consideration the amount of effort that Coco has done to craft her image in that level of performance, and that her mother within minutes was like ruining it for her and making her and potentially their white guests uncomfortable. But at the same time, you're like asking yourself these questions of like, why is it necessary for Black bodies to to discomfort themselves in order to make other people comfortable? And it's just all these questions, and just it made me think way too much, but it also made me like feel things. I'm like, damn, maybe I should call my mom. I talked to her yesterday. I'm like, fuck. So that was a really good episode. It's the first time since probably I watched San Junipero from Black Mirror that I got a little misty-eyed just thinking about all the theories and all the performances and all the concepts and whatnot. So everything was good with that. Then you get about 7 or 8. This one is a round where the plot has been going at a steady pace, like incorporating and weaving things underneath, and then it comes to a head with Muffy having a discussion with Coco, or a conversation that's overheard by Brooke. And so Muffy accuses Dr. Brown, Reggie's mentor, of sexually assaulting her. And everything takes a turn, and this was, I believe it is episode 8. This introduces a conversation because it starts the whole conversation about Me Too. And I think what it introduces is it brings around a lot of good points, because it's very much an outsider's perspective. And you do get a definitive like closed answer to did it happen or did it happen. But at the beginning there's all this mystery and ambiguity. And so what you have is, I think it brings up 3 different points of view. And there's one in the middle that is probably the most complex of them all. So you have Muffy, who is a white woman, who is claiming that she was sexually assaulted. And now we're in like the Me Too era, where it's like we're a lot more sexual assaults and rapes and whatnot are being taken seriously finally, which is great. And a lot of these are perpetuated by white women. Now you have her making this claim against a Black man. Now, it's a man in a position of power, he's a professor, but it's still a Black man. Now, Emmett Till, enough said. Like, you have this intense history of false sexual assault claims from white women against Black men. But you're in an era where people are finally taking sexual assault seriously, but you're also trying to make sure it's not at the definition or denigration of black males, which is just a whole nother can of worms. So in the middle, you have, with the show having a large roster of black women, you have black women, you discuss that nuance, and you're in this tough position where you have someone who is a woman or identifies as a woman. So you have that history. You have the history of women not being believed, women not being taken seriously. But you also have them being black, and black women having to like carry the torch of civil rights and social justice for just about every issue. And so you have just being black and knowing how, like, can they, the new Ava DuVernay thing about the Central Park Five, like that alone, just thinking about the burden that black women carry, and being black in the way that like black bodies are often criminalized, prison industrial complex, which is like criminalized or overjudged, or how unfair the judicial system has been, or even just like not even acknowledging the fact that just some people lie. So you're in this complicated situation where it's like, believe women, but also black men are persecuted. So now it gets tricky. In the end, it is revealed that he did do something. They don't like, I'm glad they don't like explicitly show what happened, but they just have Professor Brown kind of admitted to Reggie, and like Reggie apologizes for the way that he was going about it. And this is another moment of like the whole hero worship kind of fallacy, just like taking into consideration like R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Charlie Sheen, I don't know, all these prominent figures, especially within the black community, and it's like what they represent before that, and then you get this news, and it's like watching a statue of like a god or a king get torn down. Was it Ozymandias? Just like watching that just crumble right in front of you, and it's so rough because you see all the phases that he has to go through until it's finally like, okay, you know what, he fucked up. I have to take him off this pedestal. And it's like, you're walking away from opportunities, and it's like, yeah, but like, it's just like at what is like, do I stay with you against my better moral judgment, or do I leave? And Reggie chooses to leave. And I think introducing this at the tail end, it rounds about a lot of things this season. You know, Brooke finally finds that she really finds a story that she wants to tell it, not just because she has like, she's like, oh, I just want to tell stories. It's like, no, this is something I'm passionate about. Same thing for Sam. She's, you know, she finally locks in into like what she wants her documentary to be about, and then talking about the news. Troy uses this, coincidentally, it just happened around the same time, to help boost the magazine, but to also talk about something that's not often talked about, is just like sexual assault on college campuses, which is a very big problem, because I believe the statistic they quote is 88% of them go unreported. I'm like, that's on average. Like, I don't even remember what the statistic was on my own campus. It was high as shit, somewhere in the 80s. But like navigating this in a conversation way, and the way they do it is, it's intense, but it's not glamorized. It's not sensationalized the way that like the news is. It's like local celebrity part of cult, local celebrity claimed rapist, and there's so much. It's the discourse in real life is a lot more weirdly sensationalized than it is here. And that's not to say it isn't taken seriously, it is, but the conversations seem a lot more expected. They're a lot more normal. They'll get heated, but like, in relationships get rocky, but they're not destroyed by it. Like, what's my man's name? Reggie and Joelle are kind of going back and forth, because Joelle is kind of more was like, take it seriously, she's a woman, like we have to believe her. And Reggie's like, yeah, but you know, historically this has been a thing that white women have done. And it's like, yeah, but he's a man in a position of power. It's like, true, but you know, she's the son of a senator. She also has her own powers and privileges that he doesn't. And this, and also this coming at the launching of the app, like the timing of this is a little too coincidental, isn't it? And then quoting statistics back and forth and those types of conversations. But it doesn't wind up breaking them up, but it does mean that those are conversations that people have. Now, it may not damage relationships, but it does change them. And then you have like the Mighty Order and the whole thing about Dr. Ruskins being the narrator, and Lionel sees some of the books with the writing on. You see volume 1, volume 2, and then open volume 3 with a lot of writing, and it's like, huh. And then you realize like, You know, who are all these members of the Order? How much power does the Order have? And the Order has an insane amount of power to somehow silence a white woman who's the son of a senator in favor of a black professor who used to work for Google launching an app. That's a shit ton of power. Oh my god. That's kind of terrifying. It's like, oh yeah, here are all the members. And like, you don't get to see who the members are. So I don't think we're ever going to know who those members are, but it's safe to say they have a lot of pull and influence. But yeah, just like everything that happens throughout this season, and then it kind of comes to a head, and then we end on another cliffhanger for season 4, which I'm hoping they get a season 4, just because I just want to see where this goes. Like the fallout of everything with Professor Brown, will it be like a big thing, or will it be like a drop in the bucket? How are they going to address it? Because they did the same thing last season. I hope they keep the storytelling format because it allows a lot more exposure to other characters, which allows them to be a lot more fleshed out while not sacrificing the presence of the main characters, like the primary four of Sam, Troy, Lionel, and Coco and Calandria. But you also like bring in all the other characters, and you bring in, and I love how everything is, because it's a college campus, it makes it a lot easier for things to be a little bit more interwoven. So yes, they will run into each other at some point, or work together, or talk to each other, but there's also the supporting character that they interact with. There's professors that they interact with. There's all these, oh man, I didn't even talk about that much about Coco's arc with trying to get that recommendation letter and still getting the rejections, and it's like acceptance of like where you stand and who you are, and just like this whole other, the voice inside her head starts to manifest. And stuff like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this season. This is a long video, I believe. I'm recording this straight through YouTube, so it's not going to be like a closing. But I'm going to put on clothes so I can go into the city and explore. So I hope you have a good day. But yeah, if you don't watch this show, I recommend it. Every season is only 10 episodes, and every episode, aside from a handful, are only about 30 minutes, and except for like season finales, which usually run like 45, 50 minutes, which I appreciate that. I wish more shows had formats like this, like 13 episode max, because it allows for a lot more tighter writing, and the way this season works is a lot more flowy and wavy and interconnected, and I love it. So like, if you haven't watched the series, I don't know why you sat through me rambling my way through the plot of season 3, but you should. I love the movie. The movie's very controversial, because I'm like, no, it should be a conversation starter. It shouldn't be like, man, bad. It's like, white man, bad. That's not the plot of the movie. You didn't get the satire. Like, the first one's a lot more satirical, and then it keeps going, and they get a lot more development for these characters. But yeah, I enjoyed it. You should watch it. If you don't, that's fine too. Shit's weird, shit's complex. But if you like having interesting explorers of death and conversation, this is a good show. Good representation all around for dark-skinned people and the queer community. Yay! Social justice shit. Alright, have a good day. I post videos whenever I feel like it. I need to make that vlog for San Diego at some point. See you next time.